Hi there, welcome to Ask the Chiropractor, your ultimate source for health, healing, and chiropractic. We're here today. My name is Dr. Adam Rodnick, and I'm your host. I practice out of Commerce, Michigan. We're here with our wonderful guest here, Dr. Andy Roberts, out of West Bloomfield.
Thank you. It's wonderful and absolutely a pleasure to be here with you and to share chiropractic and the law of life with your listening audience.
All right. And so I know you had practiced for a number of years in Costa Rica. I think it sounds like an amazing experience. If you could share that, enlighten us a little bit about your experiences out there.
Yeah, Costa Rica was absolutely wonderful. While I was in chiropractic college, I had a buddy in another chiropractic college. We were quite close. We had the same philosophy of helping people, and the type of chiropractic that we did meshed together. And we wanted to bring chiropractic to part of the world that just didn't have it. We kind of looked at a few of the different Central American countries, and Costa Rica was the most stable and the most open. And when we went there, we fell in love with it. We were down there for 7 years. We were blessed. We had the largest chiropractic clinic in the world at the time. We were seeing between 250 and 300 patient visits a day in one clinic. We had 4 clinics like that. We were able to write a chiropractic law, meaning we brought chiropractic and the distinctness of chiropractic to protect the people of Costa Rica from people that might set up and do things that are not within the realm of acceptable care. So we did that. We presented before Congress. We had an audience with the Vice President where the bill was signed into effect. So we were truly blessed. Plus, on a personal note, I had my 2 babies there. So Costa Rica holds a dear place in our heart.
That is excellent. That's excellent that you went through the right means, got the laws passed, and got it legitimized in chiropractic
Well,
over there.
certainly. Anything that works, there are going to be those people or element of society that's going to try to exploit and take advantage of it. With no laws in place, anyone was really able to set up an office, hang up a shingle and say chiropractic on it, bring people in because of the notoriety that we brought to the health-giving and the health-restoring qualities of chiropractic. They would hang one up unlicensed, unschooled, without any skills or abilities, and in effect have the possibility of hurting the people that came to them. And in effect, that's actually what it did. And we would get a lot of patients from that saying, we went to blah, 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 and now this hurts, that hurts, they did some damage. We even experienced that when people from the United States would go down on mission trips. They would go down, they would set up, although overseen by chiropractors, a lot of them were students, and it was not the best of arenas or environments for them to be doing what they were doing. And again, we would have people knocking on our doors saying, look, chiropractic messed us up, fix us. Because of our notoriety, we were equated with chiropractic in the country of Costa Rica. And then that also grew to other things. Mexico contacted us and asked them if we would help them make some presentations. We were invited by the president of the Chiropractic Association in Spain to speak to that group, while those were in works to try to establish a law to make chiropractic separate and distinct instead of being enveloped by medicine.
That is excellent. And I've had a fairly similar experience. I've talked about it a little bit on the show, but where we did the same thing almost in China. And we're still a work in progress right now. We started about 8 years ago where we started doing mission trips. At first, there's just a few doctors, and we met with some of the governors, some of the heads of state, and some of the provinces in China. And it all started first from a patient in one of our offices that said, I hear about chiropractors going to these mission trips to Panama and Costa Rica, and what about China? They have over 1 billion people. So we got set up, and he knew some dignitaries in the government there. We went out there, and first we worked in the stadiums and in the hospitals, and we did free services for thousands and thousands and thousands of people out there.
Sure.
And then from there, we actually opened up some clinics. And recently, we passed the whole project over to Life University, to the chiropractic school, who is now going to open up a school there, and we're branching clinics all over the country of China. And they took chiropractic openly and willingly immediately because Eastern medicine is very into natural health, and
Sure.
the principles just made so much sense to them. They were immediately into it.
Yeah, it's a monumental undertaking. I mean, we were blessed. We were there. We were there for 7 years. We are actually, we were told from some of the senators there that they've never seen a bill get through so quickly. It took us, from the time we wrote it to the time it was actually signed, was 13 months. And in any country that's fast, let alone Costa Rica, which is known to be a little slow to get things moving with red tape, it was a process for sure. We had to entertain the legislators, we had to make presentations, we had to go head to head with the equivalent of the AMA, the American Medical Association, which had pretty much a stranglehold on all things quote unquote health in Costa Rica, and in any territorial defense, they wanted to incorporate anything that might have to do with health, although we are separate and distinct, and we had to battle them. We had to battle them verbally, we had to battle them legally. On top of that, add the fact that, you know, any country wants to see their own people succeed. They want to see their own people making these types of laws and things like that. But there were no Costa Ricans that were licensed at the time. So we had some opposition from that, from some of the senators that were just, we don't want outsiders doing this. So we had a tough battle. It cost a lot of money, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. We had a lot of good people to help. Dr. Dill, who is at a chiropractic college out in California now, we work together. My wife's a chiropractor. So we were able to put into place all the things necessary to keep our clinic running, because obviously that as well was a monumental effort, right, seeing as many people as we did. It was an incredible experience, by the way, seeing that many people. We worked typically 10-hour days. We would get there at 9 in the morning, leave at 9 at night, and it was literally non-stop. And I don't want to give the appearance like it was a mill. You know, I always hear that, oh, it was like a mill, you just said.
Crack factory.
Exactly. The understanding is, how long does it take to flip on a light switch? If you understand that, and I said to you, well, Adam, before we turn on the light switch, I want you to play with the light switch for about half an hour. You're going to look at me and say, are you crazy? It'd take me a millisecond. I flip it on and it's on, and now I can do whatever I need to do. It's the same thing with turning on the life force chiropractically. A chiropractic adjustment literally takes seconds. Now, the analysis takes a little bit longer to know actually which bone to adjust, in which direction, with how much force. And that took years to learn and perfect. The application of the adjustment took years to effect. But it culminates in a split second. How long does it take? So to keep a patient in my office for half an hour, for 45 minutes, for an hour, I know some people down in Costa Rica, they advertise, you won't be in our office any shorter than an hour. It was like, for us, you know, people have busy lives. They have families, they have work. Time is money. So we wanted to give them the best quality care to the least amount of cost and time to them. When you look at it, again, flipping on a switch takes a millisecond. Turning on the life force in the body also takes a millisecond, and that's what we kept it to. Because of that, we were able to see that volume of people. Also, they were busting down our door to get it. You know, this is a country that had socialized medicine. They can go to a hospital or a medical doctor for free, absolutely no out-of-pocket expense. And they would come to our office and actually pay cash. And this is not a rich country. You're talking about people that on average were making $3,000 to $6,000 a year. And they would pluck down cash every time. Why? Because the model that they were in failed for the problems that they had. And it just runs the gambit, all the problems. I mean, we can list them: rheumatoid arthritis, the cancers, AIDS. I mean, the list gets longer and longer, migraine headaches. It failed, and they would come to us. We just didn't have the manpower. If I had 100 chiropractors able to train right away, it wouldn't have been enough. So we wanted to be able to be fair to everyone, give them the highest quality care we could in the shortest amount of time so that we could see the highest amount of volume to help those people.
And they felt the exact same way in China, where some people at first, they were just amazed and they couldn't believe the fact that the adjustment itself doesn't take very long at all. And,
right,
and the profound results that they would have. And we did the same, very similar to how you guys did, with, had to do lectures, had to talk to all the doctors, similar to the AMA in China, and going back and forth, going back and forth. Eventually, they had us actually working on all their problem cases in the hospitals. We were working on the cancers, working on the heart diseases. We were working on the cerebral palsies and some of they're difficult cases, and they found profound results with these. They're actually publishing their studies in their Chinese medical journals, and they were definitely impressed with the amount of time it takes.
Right. Like any pioneering effort, just like Costa Rica, just like your experience in China, back in the 1930s, late 1920s, early 30s, when Dr. Palmer really started investigating the brainstem area of the spine, he created in 1935 a research clinic. It was the epitome of research clinics. It was $1 million facility with $1 million worth of equipment. Now just put that in 1935 terms. That's a huge amount of investment and a huge amount of money. This clinic was known to get the worst of the worst cases, not only referred to by field chiropractors, but also referred by medical doctors, hospitals, sanitariums, you name it. There are stories complete with, as the patient was filling out the paperwork in the waiting room, they keeled over and died, unfortunately. That's how bad and worst of worst cases were. And that research went on from 1935 to 1951 officially, and then continued to 1961, that same research clinic. And the wealth of information that we have from there, I mean, we're talking about pretty much every diagnosed case seen in that clinic, and the results were phenomenal. And that's where B.J. Palmer, the developer of chiropractic, really developed that brainstem work. And that's kind of what we noticed in the pioneering effort. So just like he saw the worst of the worst cases, when we went to Costa Rica, we saw the worst of the worst.
This has already happened.
And that's how it starts.
Decades ago.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's how it starts. And that's how, you know, truly, I guess, it's obviously much more impressive if somebody comes in and they, God forbid, have XYZ cancer, and then 3 months, 6 months, 9 months later, they're completely cancer-free. It's much more impactful than the person that came in that had no symptoms, that had no problem, adjust them, and never did get cancer, or never did get rheumatoid arthritis, and never did. It's much more impressive. However, both are miracles, and both are equally important. You don't need to have a problem. The point I want to get across to your listening audience is please don't wait to get a problem. Make sure, it's just like bringing your car, bringing your car to the maintenance shop. Why? Well, I could either go in for $50 to $100 now, or I could wait a year and bring it in for a $500 repair. Which makes more sense? My teeth. I could either get checked every 3 months or every 6 months now for $50 a pop, or I can wait till I have an abscess and they need to remove a tooth. It's now $5,000, and the pain and aggravation I have to go through. How much more important the nervous system?
So many people understand this with their teeth or with their muscles. You know, like people can start exercising when they're a child as they're growing up and continue to exercise as they go along, or they can wait until they're 500 pounds and then, you know, now it's time to start exercise. And of course, most of you have heard some of the tear-jerking testimonials of people through chiropractic care that were healed miraculously, and those are great. We like to share those, but my favorite is just taking care of healthy families and keeping them healthy.
That's the miracle. That's the miracle.
Interference off of their nervous system, keep their body functioning at their optimum genetic potential.
Meaning that they could live to their fullest talent. What bigger tragedy is there that someone that's supposed to be this magnificent teacher, or this incredible police officer, or this fantastic mother didn't live up to that potential? That's what chiropractic is more about. Bringing people, just like you said, their full potential, but having them express their talent. That's what they were put on earth for. What a tragedy it is if, because the nervous system is not functioning at its optimal, they don't get to achieve that.
And most of the time, when it's not at its optimal, can they feel that? That's the question. You know, if their nervous system's working at 95%, can they feel that?
Here's the problem. Our bodies were designed so perfectly that it was able to withstand a lot of the enemies, let's say, in the environment. Meaning, we have a lot of redundancy in our body. You know, everybody knows the space shuttle, right? There's computers on the space shuttle that runs the space shuttle. There's 5 or more computers all doing the same thing. Why? If computer 1 fails, computer 2 picks up. If computer 2 fails, computer 3 picks up. If 3 fails, and so on. That's a redundancy. It allows it to function even if almost all of them are blown. It can still function to get the astronauts home safely. Well, our bodies are designed no differently. There are redundant systems. Kidneys are a perfect example. We have 2 kidneys. Now, we know intuitively, if you were designed with 2 kidneys, you should have 2 kidneys. And to be at optimal function, both kidneys should be functioning well. However, we also do know, you always hear the story, you could hear it on Oprah, you could read it in the newspaper, this boy was sick, this girl was sick, the uncle, the father was a match and gave up a kidney to the child that was sick or the mother that was sick, and now they have a kidney. So now they have 1 kidney each and function. And we know that they can function, and we know that they can function as optimally as they can with 1 kidney without any symptomatic feeling. So 2 kidneys designed. Intuitively, we know we should have 2 to be functioning at 100%. Have 1 and there's no symptoms. In fact, I can cut that 1 in half and still have no symptoms. I have to get below 1/3 of 1 kidney before I actually even notice a symptom that something's wrong. How incredible is the body? And that's just 1 organ. You know, couple that with the lungs, couple that with the muscle system. You could have such problems in the nervous system or anywhere and not know it until a symptom arrives. Now, the symptom arrives much like the idiot lights in our car. Wouldn't it be better if we had a car that as soon as the first drop of oil left the engine case, that's when the red light came on to say, whoa, let's get it fixed. But no, it's called an idiot light for a reason. It only comes on when almost all of the oil's gone. If you ride another mile or 2, you're going to seize your engine. Unfortunately, because we have this mechanism in our body to live and survive, the symptoms, much like the idiot light, are the last to come. So a lot of journey has been traveled to get there. A lot of damage has been done, and now, it's not all of a sudden, because I hear that all the time. Oh, I don't know. I was never sick in a day in life. Now I have heart disease, or now I have diabetes. Disease is a process. The symptoms are a process to get from where they were to where they are. So the day before their symptom, of course they were sick. A week before the symptom, they were sick. A month before their symptom, they were sick. A year, 10 years.
The average cancer has been in the body for 7 to 15 years. By the time they can even, with all of our scientific testing, before they can clinically diagnose it, it's been there for years and years.
So what's the better alternative? Wait until it plops up. Oh, Mrs. Smith, now you have a tumor in your breast. Or make sure you're doing everything. Make sure your nervous system's functioning right. On your part, make sure your diet and nutrition's good. Make sure you're exercising. Make sure your headspace is right. And again, nervous system, which integrates all 3 into it, that's the better choice. Maintain the health. So God forbid if something even still does come up, you're at your optimal to be able to fight it.
And it'd be nice if we had a light on our forehead that would say, you know, the light would flash on as soon as we have any interference in the nervous system or we're not functioning on optimal, but we don't have that, and the only way for people to find out is to go get their spine checked.
Dr. Sean Dill and I, who was with me in Costa Rica, we always joked, how marvelous would it, because we use an instrument to analyze the nervous system in our office. It's called computerized infrared thermography. It gives us kind of a window into how the nervous system's functioning. And I said, how marvelous would it be if I could put these 2 tracks on the back of the neck, and like you said, a little red light here that, you know, after their adjustment, it's green, everything's good to go, and then if they move wrong, if they're at work, or if they fall, or just daily lifestyle, as soon as that red light comes in, boom, I need to get to Dr. Adams' office, I need to get to Dr. Andy's office, and I got to get that corrected. Beautiful world. The world's beautiful as it is, and I think it's just a matter of you and I and the other chiropractors out there, we make the care affordable. People could come in on a regular basis to get their nervous system analyzed and to make sure that themselves and their family are functioning at that optimal level so that they can enjoy life to its fullest.
And like you said, we don't want to wait until that idiot light, the warning signs are there. We take care of people as young as, what's the youngest you've ever taken care of somebody, Doc?
2 hours.
2 hours old. And we've taken care of countless infants because what do we see from the birth process?
Well, for sure. I mean, again, I think we go through life on a very mediocre or mundane level. We just kind of cruise through life. We leave in the morning in our car and get to work, and if you were asked what you passed a mile ago or 2 miles ago, you wouldn't know because you're kind of in automatic mode. You've done it, 100 times, 1,000 times, and you just kind of go through life on automatic mode. I think the same thing here. the miracle process of conception and then the miracle process of the birth, I think we've all seen, I think we all know of, we've read about, we've heard stories of, and yet we just, again, it's just a mediocre thing. We're just on automatic and going through it. But when you watch a birth process, I was blessed to see both of my children born in Costa Rica, and it is at best a strenuous activity, obviously for the mother, everyone knows that, but for the child too. Because you're talking about a canal, barely large enough to fit anything else, let alone the head of the baby. So after that tremendous first push and the head's out, just like any elastic muscle, it then closes around the neck again. So to facilitate removing the baby, the medical doctors, what they do is they rotate the child to present the shoulder. Well, what's the only thing out there that they can use as a lever? The head, which is connected to this neck, which is cartilaginous at birth. I mean, there's no bone there yet. It's just the framework for bone. It's very soft. And it was cushioned for 9 months. And now here you do, you take the head, you twist and flex, and that brings the shoulder out.
And then even worse, now we have vacuum extraction, we have forceps delivery.
Don't even bring that in yet. Just the actual, a normal, quote unquote, if you
healthy
normal birth is completely traumatic to the structures of the neck, especially the upper neck. And there's now more than enough studies that show a causative link between damage to the upper cervical area and SID, sudden infant death syndrome.
Sudden infant death syndrome, failure to thrive syndrome, cerebral palsy, infantile colic. And we see it on a daily basis in our offices all the time.
Correct.
And when a woman is laying on her back, she can't properly contract her abdomen, where the contraction, which is made to corkscrew the baby's head and shoulders out, because the woman's laying on her back. So now what the doctor has to do is, of course, pull and twist on the neck.
Right.
And this started a long time ago. It started around the 1500s, where they started giving birth like this. And now they say, the reason why the woman's laying on her back and they do this is for the baby's safety, so the baby doesn't fall, rather than using gravity as nature intended. You ask me, I would much rather see the baby fall than be pulled and twisted out.
The developer of chiropractic once said, common sense is not very common, and I see that a lot in the medical field. But I just want to make a clarification too. For those that have heard this and then think, oh, then cesarean section's good because you cut it open, you pull out the baby. That is a whole host of other traumas put to the mother and to the child that then also affects the baby and their developmental growth.
Even to start with, there's no contraction at all, so there's no force pushing the baby out, and that's all pulling. That's
correct.
Entirely. That's very traumatic on both the mother and the child.
So that usually is the beginning. That's usually the first time where that dimmer switch on life is toned down a little bit. If we look at a home and some lights in the living room, let's say, and you have a dimmer switch there, we could either be at 100% full or 100% off, much like life. Either you have 100% life or 0%, which is death. But with a dimmer switch, like the lights, so can your life be somewhere in between. Usually, when the birth process occurs, even in the most healthy of birth processes, you have a twisting of that upper cervical area, that brainstem area. That begins just turning down the dimmer switch a little bit. You don't notice it. They're developing much like you would think they would develop. They're all on the charts and everything else, but it's just a few percentage points down. As time goes by, those all add up. Have a fall off the swing, a fall off the bunk bed, in a car accident, God forbid. All of these add up.
That nobody notices now. And if we can increase the switch and allow this child or this adult or this person to express their life at their optimum potential, they're going to live that much better. Their income earning capacity will be better. Their quality of the time spent with their children will be better. Every aspect of their life is, if they go from 90% to 91%, it's just that much better.
Absolutely.
Whether they notice it or not.
Absolutely.
I know we talked about, our favorite cases are just the families that we can keep healthy, and but we see these miracle cases all the time. So we have a little clip here we'd like to play. Just a news report, a pretty amazing case, a pretty amazing testimonial. If we could roll that clip.
Doctors aren't quite sure how it happened, but a Dubuque man can see clearly tonight after being blind in one eye for more than a decade. KCRG TV9's Dubuque reporter Katie Wiedemann says it happened after a trip to the chiropractor. 12 years ago, Doug Harkey's left eye suddenly stopped working.
Just woke up one day and I didn't have no vision in my left eye.
And as quickly as he lost his sight, he got it back.
He just did his normal adjustment that he normally does. And voila.
After a routine visit to chiropractor Tim Stakis, Harkey says a miracle happened.
My blind eye started watering after I left there, and it watered for like 45 minutes straight, and got my right eye watering. I went to wipe my right eye, and I could see out of my left again.
Dr. Stakis said the bones in Harkey's neck were out of alignment.
That interferes with the messages and energy that the brain sends down to the rest of the body.
Harkey now has the depth perception he'd been missing, just what he needs as he's about to walk down the aisle with his fiancée next month.
I'm not used to him not running into things or stepping on our feet.
Dr. Stakis and Harkey were both surprised by what happened.
He has miracle hands, I guess.
Was it a miracle? No one knows for sure how to explain it. Harkey's just glad it happened. In Dubuque, Katie Wiedemann, KCRG TV 9 News.
Pretty amazing, huh?
Absolutely powerful. Nothing that, for us, common. We see things like this. In fact, the first chiropractic adjustment years back in the 1800s was given to a man that lost his hearing 17 years prior, followed by a patient that had cardiac problems. We see this along the line. Eyes, miracle cases, those that can walk could walk, those that can see. The list goes on.
And we hear this even over 100 years later. They say, you know, we don't know how this happened, but of course we know how it happened. We remove pressure from the nervous system so that the power that our body has can communicate at 100% and the body heals.
It's a very interesting case. In fact, I remember an interview done, almost a debate between a medical doctor and a chiropractor, and the medical doctor came right off. That story about the hearing is no way possible that chiropractic could have helped with hearing because the nerves, it's a cranial nerve, so it does not go down through the spinal cord, so it doesn't even get close to the spinal column, so how could chiropractic have helped? Chiropractor, with much grace and dignity and patience, let the medical doctor spoke, and then gave the exact word-for-word direction of the neurology of how the trophic vessels, the trophic nerves, innervate the nerve, bring nourishment to the ear, and completely blew away the argument of those academicians that said there's no way that it could be connected. There's a connection to every part of the body with the nervous system. Get the nervous system right, body has to express health. That's the bottom line.
So we're just about out of time, so I really want to thank you for being here and joining us on the show today. And join us next time on Ask the Chiropractor. Remember that God gave you the gift of life, and what you do with that gift is your gift back to God. I'm Dr. Adam Rodnick, and we'll see you next time.